Alright, g'day folks, welcome back to another episode of Bike Chats. Today I am here with Luke Jacobz and we have the BMW R12 behind us. Now Luke has had this bike for a couple of weeks, riding it in rain and sunshine.
Yes, I have.
Now the first question I always like to ask is, what did you think of the bike?
I actually loved it. I really loved it. Yeah, when you dropped it off to me that day, it was a beautiful sunny day and we said, okay, we might have a bit of rain.
Yep.
I put it off that day and I rode it the next day when it was pelting down rain. So, but it's great. I think it's really responsive, which I loved about it. You know,
yep.
I love being able to feel, you know, as soon as you do something to the bike, it reacts straight away. I loved it. I didn't find it heavy. I found it, you know, quite maneuverable, and it's a sexy bike. It's a sexy bike.
It is, isn't it? And this obviously is the one with the, you know, it's got the gold bars and the
yep.
billet pack on it, and it's, you know, it looks pretty cool. And now you ride GS.
I do, yes, yeah. So
pretty big.
It's a big look. Just looking at the shapes of the bikes too. You know, with the I've got a 1250 GSA.
Yep.
You know, you are quite high on that. You know, quite tall. With the boxer engine being on those, being lower as well, it does feel that. But this here, you're sitting
yep.
on the ground. You know,
yep.
you feel like you're lower to the ground, which I really like. But look, it's funny. My bike experience is, you know, I bought a 125 little scooter to get around to start with.
Yep.
And then the next bike I bought after that was a 1250 GSA. So I kind of went from the smallest to the biggest. But no, I really enjoyed this. I found it really comfortable to sit on. I find too, there's all these different positions you can sit on a bike. You know, like it's a cruiser, but for me, a cruiser's, you know, your feet out, you know, your hands up, you know, all that sort of stuff, you know. But I find it a really nice, you know, it's more of an upright style. I've never been into a sports bike. I've never been into doing that. But this, you've got, you know, it's a sort of compact. We don't like the term cafe racer. No. And I understand that.
You and I were talking about.
Yeah, we had to do that. But you know what? It's you know, you're
the cafe cruiser.
The cafe cruiser. The cafe cruiser. There you go.
Yeah.
But you know, like with you know the BMW Boxster engine, it sort of makes it a bit harder to put your feet forward. But I found it comfortable. You know, you're sort of sitting upright. You know, I don't feel like you're crowding the handlebars, but you're also not sort of holding yourself on for dear life. It's a really nice sort of natural upright position.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's funny. We were just saying as well, like with the cafe racer term, and Mark, who always likes to pipe in at the back there. So that where were you when you were having that conversation? We were at a cafe.
We're at a cafe, yeah. Talking about the races. But look, I love the style of the bike. It looks like a vintage bike. You know, it looks like a classic kind of vintage bike. You know, I took it mainly around Sydney, and I do a lot of work with the Swans, and so I took it to a Swans game, and I sort of parked it up there. There was a couple of bikes there to begin with. I went in and did my work, and I went back to the bike, and there was a whole bunch of people that were on different types of bikes. They're all looking around at the bike, you know, asking questions about it. So it's definitely drawing some attention.
Yeah, it really does turn some heads. Like I was telling you too, I went up to Harrington to an old hot rod show.
Yep.
And there's all these old hot rods and old, you know, 1950s motorcycles, and we walked out and there was a crowd around this.
Yeah, exactly right.
R9T that we had, and we were going, well, you know.
Yeah,
so obviously they turn some heads, and they're cool. And even in the car park today, we had a couple of guys, you know.
Come up and say, you know, what's this, and having a look, a nice bike, and you know, look, I love it. And the good thing about it too is you know, with BMW, they've released it as a basic model, and you've got so many different ways that you can customize it to make it your own. And I really like that, because I think if they put so much into it and they put the best of everything on it, you kind of go, oh, that's the way I'm going to do it. But if they give you an option to have it basic, you can choose between a couple of different mirrors or a couple of different color streams and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I really liked it, and I found it a very, very firm bike, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like it's when you put the input in, you're feeling it straight away, and you know, you're turning and this sort of stuff, and it feels like it's been very well put together.
Yeah, and you know, you're probably used to it because you have a GS, whereas you know, I don't. But I love the cruise control. You know, you got the heated hand grips. And when we went up to that Harrington ride, it rained for 4 hours up there and 4 hours back. So that was definitely you know, something that I loved that these come with. You know,
100%.
So.
Yeah. For me, that cruise control, I put that on all the time. I put it on all the time. When you got bikes that have got the power, you know, like you find yourself, it only takes a slight amount of change in your wrist, and you can be doing the 80 and the 60 zone. You know what I mean? Because they want to go. They're ready to have a bit of fun. And with the mods on this too. You've got rock and roll, so you've got the 2 different mods. So, you know, you put it in the rock, you know, it wants to go for you straight away. You put that cruise on, you can enjoy your ride, you know, you're looking around, you're not always having to look at the speedo. So I think that, you know, the cruise controls on these bikes are just, they're fab. Because you can adjust the speed with your finger as well. You know, like you can have your hand sort of resting on that grip, and off the other hand, you can tap up a little bit faster or tap down a little bit, you know, so
and it's
I love that
too,
feature.
Isn't it? Like, there's a part of it sometimes where I just think, and then as soon as you just press a brake or even accelerate a bit, it will turn off.
100%. Yeah. Any kind of change with any of the levers, like if you hit the clutch, the brake, or you know, a lot of these with you roll off. And that'll take it out of that cruise control. And so, like, you know, because you're always you've got all your hands on the controls at all time. As soon as you roll off, you can feel it take off. So you feel like you're in control the whole time. But geez, it's nice to be able to click that on, and then you can sort of, you know, you can be looking around and without having to constantly look at what's going on. And you know, when you're going up a bit of a hill and it goes in for you. You know, it's great. I love it. But the heated grips. What a game changer. Such a game changer.
One thing also was funny before is, you know, it comes with the little phone mount as well.
Oh yes,
You can connect that to, so Bluetooth it to the bike, and that little toggle on the left there, you can toggle around, and you were trying to find your phone before. Look, and I'll probably have it on camera because he's trying to find a phone and take a photo, and I'm filming.
I've got it. I had the jacket, and I was like, it was in my jacket, and it was in everywhere, and I was like, oh, and there was a moment where I thought, that's come out of my pocket. And it's on there, and it's funny because having it there, like I said, I got the GSA, and it took me a while to work out without having to think so much about using these things. But these quick selects and stuff like that, they're so brilliant. It's, you know, it's not on your accelerator hand as well, so you know you're not sort of trying to move it back and forth to change your speed. And so you know you can hold your hand down there, and you can toggle that super clear on the screen. You know, and like you said, you can change your music if you've got your Cardo set up or your AirPods or whatever. And it's all through the controls when you've still got control of the bike, which I think is great.
Now, can you tell me? Obviously, you're a very familiar face, you know, and tell me, you know, a little bit about yourself and your, you know, how you got into motorcycling and.
Sure. So I spent or have spent 23 plus years on television. I've done a few reality shows, like hosting shows. I've done ones where I've competed, like I went into the jungle overseas and all bits and pieces. But did a lot of acting, a lot of hosting. And I grew up in Sydney, and I actually played soccer from the age of 5 with a guy called Shane Booth. You might have heard of him. So I've known Shane and his family basically my whole life. And you know, every time, you know, when we were kids, you know, you'd see Shane was racing at the entertainment centre, motocross, and you know, and this and that. And so over the years, I've seen him, you know, ride all different types of bikes and all different types of events. And then, you know, he got into the adventure riding with BMW. And so my best mate Luke and I, you know, very good friends with Shane, and Shane convinced my other friend Luke to buy a bike, and then that sort of trickled down to get me to buy a bike. At the beginning, for me, a bike was commuting. I was living in Bondi, and it was more so a means to an end. I needed to be able to get to work without sitting in the traffic. So, like I said, I bought a little scooter, which I still have to this day, and it's just that's my little kick around. But then, Shane was sort of talking more about these safaris and said, you know, like if you want to ride with a couple of guys, you know, all similar-minded on these bikes, that these tours are looked after from start to finish. You know, all your travel and all your food and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, so I didn't think I'd be into the adventure bikes. I first saw when I went there a big bike. I think I want a cruiser. I want something where I got my feet up, and you know, I kind of liked the idea of that until I sat on an adventure bike. And then everything changed. And so so then my passion for the riding became more on-road and off-road. I liked a bit of the both. And then very lucky a little while ago to do a ride with BMW. I went over to Costa Rica on the R18. So we did a 12-day cruise around there called the Great Escape, and you know, it was this amazing, very similar to the Safari, where you go up there, the bikes are provided, and you just follow them and they show you all around. So now for me, it's, you know, I love bikes. You know, it started off for me as it just helps me get to work. But now, you know, you jump on a different bike, and every bike is different. You know, you're steering, you're accelerating, your brake, and your body position. And I love that because each bike was individually created for that reason. You know, and so if you want a bike to ride it comfortably, you get a different type of bike. You know, I don't find sports bikes comfortable. You know, that's not my style of riding. Having said that, I still love them. You know, they're still a great piece of machinery.
We'd have to get you on an M1000RR or an S1000RR or something. You know,
sure.
We'll put out that out there to the
The bike will come back, and you'll check it it out and it'll be like he didn't leave second gear. You know, that's all fine. But for me, that's it. That was it. That's all I held on for. But yeah, for me now, it's you know, riding a bike and appreciating the bike of what it's built for. You know, these bikes aren't created in a weekend where someone's gone, let's put this lever here and that lever there. You know, these things have been thought out, and you know, when you ride something, and I found with this as well, as soon as I sat on it, it felt like everything was where it was supposed to be on this bike. You know what I mean? And I really liked it. I found it very comfortable to ride. It wants to have fun. You know what I mean? But you can also you can cruise along this bike. You know, you don't have to, you know, rev its tits off. You don't have to sort of sit there in the high range. You can just cruise along with it, and it's got, you know, nearly 1200cc in it, so it's got the torque when you need it. But a beautiful bike.
It truly is a multi-purpose bike, isn't it? You can ride to work. You can take it as I did. You know, we took it up the coast, and it does pretty much everything.
And I think because it's got enough grunt in there. If you're on the freeway and you're doing 110, you need to get past someone. You're not at the top end where you're kind of ringing it out. You know, you can drop it down a gear and you can get around and that sort of stuff. And I think that when you've got a bike with this kind of power as well, you feel safer because you know if you need to get more out of it, it's there in reserve. You know, it's got that for you.
Now, you're wearing a BMW Safari Australia shirt.
Yes, I am.
You mentioned a couple of these trips that you've done. Can you tell us a little bit about those trips?
Yeah, absolutely. When it came to sort of getting the GS and getting the adventure bike, you know, I asked Shane 1,001 questions about, you know, why would I do this? And he said, you've got to come on one of these safaris. So I've seen videos, because you can check them out on YouTube. You can see all that sort of stuff. And I thought, you know what, well, let's see how we go. You get a group of a couple of hundred guys together. There's like 200 people, male and female, age, you know, as long as you've got a license, you can ride the bikes, you know. I've now done 3 of the safaris. I've done an enduro as well. So the enduro is more of your outback, middle of nowhere sort of stuff. You know, you're doing a lot more Ks during the day. Less technical riding is what I'd probably say, but you're seeing a lot more of your sites. So we went out to Cameron Corner, went through the Barossa and Flinders Ranges and stuff like that. We started in Dubbo, and it was just, you know, hundreds of riders there. It's just they're such phenomenally well organised rides that you can go there and not think about anything but just having fun on the bikes. You know, and that's the best thing about BMW. You know, when I bought my BMW, I thought, where am I going to ride it? Who am I going to ride it with? And they've just got options for you. You know, they do courses to help you ride on the road and off the road. They do the GS Safari, which is, like you said, your big groups, technical riding and that sort of stuff. And they, you know, they can be everywhere's different. Every route's different. They choose the routes and that sort of stuff for you. And they've got the TS Safaris. So the TS is all on your bitumen. With a TS Safari, you can take a pillion. This would be incredible on a TS. You know what I mean? They're a comfortable bike. You're going through it, and you know, with those TS Safaris, you're being guided by an instructor. You've got marshals there, you've got mechanics there, you've got medics there, all that sort of stuff. You can ride your bike, and that's the best thing about BMW. Like they back their bikes and they go, look, if you're buying a bike, we can show you how to ride it as well. Come with us, you know. And so, you know, not only that is the Costa Rica ride. You know, we had 11 days over there, and we're riding up volcanoes, and you're riding through these views, and you know, BMW have said to us, you know, like, if you've got the bike, come and ride it. You know, and that's the best thing about it. You can do courses with them on how to maintain your bike, you know, these levels of training for the bikes and that sort of stuff, and all these off-road trainings make you feel a more confident rider. So when you get on the bike, you're more connected to your bike, so you can enjoy it rather than worrying about riding it. You know what I mean? And that's having that kind of support, and you know, whether it's a tech support or whether it's a you know, just a community support, they're surrounded by it. So, you know, and like, I'm on so many Facebook pages now with all these adventure pages and stuff like that, and you know, people are always saying, what tyres do you have? You know, what pressure do you run? And what have you got a GPX file for this area of Australia? And it's such a great community where people, they want to ride with you. And I've ridden with people before because of a Facebook post, and we said, yeah, we'll go that weekend, and there was 30 of us that went there. And I met a whole bunch of people from the area that are riding similar bikes, you know, have similar interests, and they might be a farmer, a ballet dancer, a builder, you know what I mean? But you love the bike, you know, like, a lot of times a bike will take you to your job, but that's the best part of your day is, you know, is getting on your bike and having that ride. So this bike here, I want to speak to the guys at Safari about this TS and taking one of these on that Safari, because, you know, it's a comfortable bike. It's got the go when you want it to, and like, you know, you've ridden on the freeway. It's comfortable on you know, for a long stint as well. Sometimes some of the bikes, you know, your back goes a little bit, or you know, it's the positioning. But I found with this one as well, I mean, I'm just on 6 foot, so my height, I found that positioning of that, with the way my legs were, my feet and my hands on that, I wasn't overstretching, it wasn't too close to me. It's a really comfortable bike to ride in. So if you're riding for a while, that's a comfortable spot to sit in. You know, you can sit in that position for a couple. I mean, you're going to stop every hour or two for a coffee or, you know, to stretch your legs and put some fuel in. But they're a great bike. The thing about Safari and that sort of stuff, and I don't mean to keep going back to it, but the thing about Safari is they've got levels there where if you're an advanced rider, you can take an advanced track there. but also they plan these. So if you're just starting out, you know, if you're fairly confident, you know, you do one of these off-road trainings, you get through the Safari, the confidence that you have at the end of that by going, I just did that. I completed a Safari with 200 other riders. You know what I mean? Like that's a bucket list.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a bucket list thing to do. And you know, for me, it like, you know, if I can, I've just had a baby, so I know that I'm going to miss out on a couple of rides. Right? That's understandable.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the one week of the year that that's my ultimate week of the year. You know.
I'm sure you could fit. You know, probably. The panniers.
Put Maisie in the pannier. Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I'd love Rachel to come along, you know, and even to sit in with Anthea, who runs the whole thing, but to see what everyone gets out of these things, you know, like at the end of the night, you've got 200 people in a room.
Yeah.
You know, you might have met 5% of them, and you've mates with everyone.
Yeah.
Because you know you've got that, but. What's the best thing in the world?
All right, Luke. Well, thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. We've finally got
I can ride this today.
I've had an awesome day, and I really hope you like the bike, and maybe we can do another one in the future.
Love it.
You mentioned you like scooters, maybe a CE04 or you know.
Do you know what? I mentioned to you on the phone before this all happened, and you said, you know, do you have a preference of bike? I said. Bike's a bike. I'll ride anything. You know, it's always nice to try something different. So it's been a pleasure. And like I said, I really rate this bike. I think it's beautiful. And look, if you don't want it back for another 6 months, just let me know. Yeah. And you know, I'll take care of it.
Yeah. No worries. I'll let BMW know. I appreciate it, mate. And
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode of Bike Chats. Yeah, sweet. I don't even know what else to say, man. You're so good at that.
When you said to me before, would you like a coffee? I said, don't give me coffee. I'll talk your ear off.
Mate, a part of it, I forgot the camera was there. I was like, oh, really? I want to go to Safari.
Yeah. Oh. No, and look.